Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side. Know that they ride or die.
So I wanted to ask you. I don't know if we've talked about this or not. Coutinho going to Villa. Did
Yeah.
you were you in for him at one point?
I
or?
thought we were in for him at a time, but I think that Villa has kind of been like the Newcastle. They've followed everything we've done so far. You just look at their transfers. Where they've got Diego Carlos. We were looking at him for the centre back position from Sevilla. They ended up getting him. Aston Villa signed him. They offered him. The salary they offered him was like ridiculous. It's becoming one of those teams, where they just splash all this money.
Right.
And it's like, what Fulham did, when they came up that time when they bought like 10 players.
Yeah.
And they were all like really aged players. They bought like Schürrle and who else did they bring in? A few other players that were past their peak, and they just ended up giving them ridiculous contracts. I think that's where Barcelona
model.
yeah.
That's our model. Let's do that.
But I think that's what Aston Villa are kind of doing now. But they've looked at some of the targets that Newcastle have been linked with and just been like, oh, we'll get there first. They've offered the money. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I think that even the Hugo Ekitike deal, I think back in January we were looking, I heard rumours around about 15 million, between 15 and 20. I think what I've heard recently is around 35. It is what it is. We're always going to get ruffled with it, aren't we? I mean, that's the aim of the game now, isn't it? Whatever money you can get, you can get.
I wanted to ask you then. So let's have unrealistic, dream signing, and realistic signing. Who would be your top realistic signing, and who would be your top just unrealistic signing?
Unrealistic. Okay, so
Newcastle.
Actual realistic signings.
Yeah.
I think that we need a goalkeeper. I think Dean Henderson, 25-year-old from Manchester United, will take him. I think he will be the number one goalkeeper. I think that Dubravka will move down into the second place goalkeeping position, and then we'll probably keep Gillespie as a third choice. Probably sell Carl Darlow out, and I think that will be our goalkeeping setup for the moving forward. I think that some other positions we definitely need to strengthen is the central defence. I think that we'll get Sven Botman in. He will, and again, like the tall dude that I was talking about earlier, he will come in, partner Dan Burn in the central defence. We've got Kieran Trippier on one side. I think the other side, we do need to bring some people in. I think that Lodi from Atletico Madrid we're rumored to get.
Nice.
So it's either going to be Lodi or Matt Target, one or the other. I mean, Matt Target did an amazing job when he came in January. I'll be more than happy to keep him. Whether Lodi can offer something different, more of an attacking type of presence. Because you look at the way that Kieran Trippier plays up and down the pitch, I think that's what Eddie Howe is looking to do moving forward. We're playing a 4-3-3 situation where the two play on the flanks and they move up and down, and I think that's what Eddie Howe will look to do. I think that Matt Target still can do that, but obviously when you look at what Kieran Trippier can produce and what Matt Target can produce, they're kind of like ifs and buts. So I think that in that position, I think either Matt Target or Lodi will come in. We look at the centre. I'm pretty happy with the central midfield, to be honest. We've got Bruno Guimaraes, and we've got what a player, right?
How much did you pay for him?
30.
Well, not you, but
I think
it's very generous of you, Mr. Rob.
Yeah, I think it was in the mid 30s. I think it was. Yeah.
What a bargain!
What a player! Yeah, what a player! I think that him, Joel Linton, Newcastle Player of the Season, we'll keep him. Those two in the centre. I think we do need another in the centre. We've got some really good youth players. We've got Joe Willock. We also have John Joe Shelby.
Do you think he'll stay on, or
he will stay on. I don't think
been a good servant.
He has, yeah. But when since Eddie Howe came in, he's definitely performed a lot better.
Right.
Is he going to be?
How old is he?
He's getting on. He's getting on. But I don't think he's the long-term solution for the team. But I think that we were linked with Paqueta. He's a good friend of Bruno's. Could we bring him in? He's a really expensive player. Is he going to offer us something? It definitely would. It definitely bring the quality of the team up. Would he fit in with Bruno, Joel Linton and him? Would that then kick out other opportunities for people like Sean Longstaff, who just signed a new deal? Joe Willock, a young dude who's been in for probably one full season now, as we've owned him. I think midfield we're kind of like full. If we bring someone in, if Paqueta comes in, you're not going to say no. He's a Brazilian national team player. He would bring some quality. Definitely the front three. You look at St. Maximin, definitely have to keep him. Definitely have to keep him. I think that
he's entertaining.
He is entertaining, isn't he? But he is frustrating as well. Same as Vinny Jr. last year. Not
head down.
Yeah, he head down moves, beats players, but then never really produces. Even in some interviews that he had recently, he was saying that if I had better players around me, I would produce more. Do you imagine what the other squad players might have thought about that?
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. Right? So, but I think that Eddie Howe did speak about that. They had a sit-down meeting after that interview with the whole squad.
How old is he?
I think he's around 25 or something like that. Yeah.
So you'd think he'd sort of be at that stage where he's learned that,
he's still a young player. He hasn't. This is the first team where I would say he's actually made. He is the number one, right? He is the up front,
the top guy,
top
star
dude.
Man,
He is. He has been labelled the star man of the whole team. When Callum Wilson was injured for so long, and some of the other players were not really performing, you just looked at him as your star man, right?
I think his stats reflect that in the Premier League.
They do.
Most dribbles. And,
But you just wish he would add a few more assists and a few more kind of goals to his game. I think that when different players come into the team, that he will be able to get those. Again, if we get Hugo Ekitike, partner him on the other side, and then Callum Wilson through the middle, I do think we'll need a backup to Callum Wilson. He's too injury prone right now. He never has a full season. He'll probably be out for 4 months of it.
Right.
So you definitely need someone who's a backup. We looked at some of the players that we've been linked with. Darwin Núñez from Benfica. That's one hell of a player.
Yeah, he did us in the Champions League.
Yeah, so but you're looking at him.
Deal with him.
You're looking at over 60 million for him. Man United are also linked with him. Liverpool, I think, were interested. Everyone's interested in this guy.
There are some good players coming out of the Portuguese league, man.
There is, aren't there?
Yeah.
And then we're also linked with Dominic Calvert-Lewin from Everton.
Going to be a pricey buy, though. You're buying Premiership proven players, man.
Is he proven? No, he's just English, isn't he?
Well, English players always have a premium on them.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Yeah, but
I think he's had the good. How's he been this season? But
he was injured most of it.
The season before.
Oh yeah,
very good.
Season before he was very good. Yeah.
Very good.
So I think that's kind of labels the team. The players I've mentioned are definitely the first team starters, or who would be the first team starters. Any players that I've mentioned will either be on the bench or probably sold. There's a lot of players that will be sold. Now, unrealistic.
Here we go.
Neymar,
yeah. Would you still have him?
I don't know. He's one of those players where can you think about, as a Newcastle fan, you've been thinking about the last 10, 15 years we've had of Mike Ashley have never spent any money whatsoever, and you look at the players I remember last season we were trying to get Chowdhury on loan and we couldn't even afford him. We couldn't even afford the loan deal, and you're just what the fuck? And then now you've got billions of to spend, and it's just
that would be a marquee signing and a half. But I just don't think Neymar's produced it, especially maybe the whole time in PSG. It's been fits and spades,
But he's been the only one I've seen Sky Sports reporting Neymar wants to stay at PSG, but PSG don't want him. Of what we're hearing is, and he's not really getting on well with Mbappe either. Yeah, and obviously Mbappe has the whole kind of do whatever he wants now. He can say what he wants with all his transfers, and even Sky Sports have been saying that the only team who could ever afford him right now is Newcastle.
Yeah. Okay.
Would we pay for him? It's one of those players that you'd love to see him in a Newcastle shirt, but you just don't. You just know he's not going to fit into the style of play.
I could imagine it very much an Özil or a Di Maria at Man United, maybe even Sanchez at Man United, just not interested, not wanting to be there. It's too cold. What am I doing here? Sort of thing.
Just does it for the money, right?
Yeah, I don't see. It'd be fantastic as a Newcastle fan, but I just don't see it working out with Neymar.
No, I don't think. Even then, you say, he's a world class player, and he's one of those players that has done well in the past, and you think of him and even just regardless of his footballing talent, you just say Neymar and you're like, oh, that's a fucking good player, in it.
Yeah. Well, it brings that wow factor, that X factor.
So to think that you think about what he could bring to the team, or even you bring Neymar in and it's just one of those signings just clicks, and if you're a Darwin Núñez or if you're a fucking whoever top level player, you think, fucking hell, Neymar's gone to Newcastle. All right then, yeah.
Floodgates.
That's relieved any of my issues where Newcastle aren't where they are right now, but fucking hell, Neymar's there.
Yeah.
All right then. I want to play with Neymar.
Absolutely right. Do you remember when City got taken over?
Yeah.
And
they bought Robinho, right?
Yeah. Was it 2006 season? I think
Something
something like
maybe
that.
2008,
And that was like, whoa. It was like, this was huge news.
Yeah, well, I remember when they got taken over, and it was like that. I think it was the last day of the transfer market, wasn't it?
Right?
Or like 1 or 2 days before, and like it was just like every couple of minutes, it was like, oh, they bought this and they bought this in, and then it was like Robinho was the first one. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that was huge, man. And you just knew, wow, City mean business here, and
that was a big one.
You just knew all the big names going to follow. So, like you said, mate, it could be. It's just getting that really big first name in the door.
Will that happen? I mean, it's definitely unrealistic to think that Neymar's ever going to come. It's not.
If it doesn't happen this summer, maybe in January or at the latest, I think it's going to be next season. If you have a good season, you're up in the Europa League, Champions League now.
I mean, and there is no Newcastle United fan that's thinking we're ever going to get Champions League next season. Right. It's just not going to happen. I mean, for me, I was super happy with 6th.
I like how you say that now, but when we're not been on air, he's like, Champions League next season, Newcastle.
No, but I mean, you've got to aim high, and I think that, with the players that we've been linked to it, and I think that when you look at the squad and how we can probably progress, I think that we're definitely not looking down. We're definitely looking up.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Onwards and upwards, I think.
Yeah, I think they definitely have to move further up the table, and I think that, we will get there.
I'm intrigued to see your summer transfer window, what it's like, who names you're linked with, and who actually does come in. Because,
I mean, with the players that we have been linked with, and they're kind of not unrealistic, because the players that we currently have been linked with are players that we were linked with back in January. There were players that have also publicly stated that we're kind of interested in this Newcastle project. You look at Hugo Ekitike. It was only the last day of the transfer market in January where he was kind of like, no, this is way too fast for me, and I'm not comfortable with it. Let me just finish the season out, and we'll talk at the end of the season.
What's the consortium group that owns you? I can't remember.
The PIF.
Yes. I think they're being very coy and quite smart about this, because they're not putting any big names out there and this and say, oh, we haven't got that money, we're not doing that, because they know as soon as you flash the cash and we all know they've got money, but they're going, oh no, we can't spend this, we're not doing that. But I think as soon as that any money like that is shown, prices are going to be extortionate.
That's exactly what's happened. Look in the media now. Like, even Eddie Howe came out and said, look, we've probably got about 60 million to spend this summer, and there's not going to be a revolution at Newcastle this summer. But you look at some of the players we're linked with, and you think that, we've got a 60 million transfer budget. Sven Botman's going to cost 35. Hugo Ekitike is going to cost 35. There you go. There's your money gone.